Yo, what is up, guys? Today is Vlogmas Day 2, and I can tell you right now it is going to be a little bit of a challenge to make these videos over the next 25 days. Not only are we doing all of our normal stay-at-home dad stuff like the at-home learning because of the current COVID virus, we're also, today is a laundry day. We also have a bunch of invoicing to do and a lot of other stuff to catch up on for work. But I know I wanted to show you guys today what camera we are using to film Vlogmas. So if you guys haven't taken a guess yet already, go ahead and pause this video right now and drop in the comment section what you guys think I'm using for my vlogging setup. So what do you guys think it's a cell phone? Do you guys possibly think it's a Canon camera? Maybe it's a Sony, maybe it's a Fuji, maybe it's an Olympus. No, it's not an Olympus. But I want you guys to kind of guess what camera we are using in order to make these vlogs over the next 25 days. So drop your comment below. If you guys haven't yet, is too late already. So let's go ahead and jump into it. We are using the Sony ZV-1, and guys, this camera is an absolute beast for any type of online social media type content or filmmaking. It is awesome for Facebook, YouTube type content, Instagram content, because you can shoot vertically, and it even flips the video for you in the camera so that when you bring it onto your computer, it's already in the proper orientation, which is awesome. And it's super nice and super handy for, just online type filmmaking. But other than that, guys, there is a ton of other things that make this camera the perfect vlogging camera. I originally didn't buy this camera for vlogging. I bought it for all my behind the scenes work that I need to film at Buzz Labs. And also I bought it just to hopefully share more content with you guys on my Instagram page and on the Buzz Labs Instagram page. So we ended up not really using this camera too much for that, and we ended up using it more as a C camera because it fits in so well with the A7 III and the A6400. So I'm able to use this camera as a third angle to get all sorts of shots that I normally wouldn't have been able to get with a bigger setup like the A6400 or the A7 III. So this camera has been awesome for all sorts of shoots, not only for just at home stuff like Zoom conference calls and all of that, but it's also super nice for on set work. I've used it for weddings. I've used it for church events and church filmings and stuff like that. So I've used this camera for all sorts of stuff. But another couple reasons that I love using this camera are the autofocus. The autofocus on here is amazing. It's actually better than my A6400 and my A7 III. The auto exposure on this camera is really, really good. So if you guys are walking around doing a lot of walking and talking vlog style documentation stuff, then this camera is always going to expose for your skin tone, which is awesome. Also, it also has active stabilization, which works really, really well. The only downside of that is it's going to punch in closer to around 30 millimeters in 4K with the active stabilization turned on. But we have an accessory that we're about to get to here in a second that completely takes care of that crop factor when you're dealing with 4K and the active track. Moving on from there, this camera also has a flip screen. The flip screen on here is awesome. It's also touch, so you can touch to focus and stuff like that. This also has pretty good onboard audio, so I've used this a bunch, just the onboard audio on here, just in a pinch, and it works really, really well. So the onboard audio on here is also another huge reason that I'm using this camera for Vlogmas. And another reason is the built-in ND filter, which I actually have on the custom C1 button, and this just works really well for turning that ND on and off off really quickly. So if you're going from a dark situation where you don't have the ND to maybe you're walking outside, you can just really quickly flip that ND on, and you have about a 3-stop ND on there, which works perfectly. Moving on from there, there are a ton of accessories that you guys can get that are going to make your life a whole lot easier when it comes to vlogging and all of that kind of stuff. So really quickly, I'm going to take you guys through the accessories that I'm using on the Sony ZV-1. Now, for audio, the audio gear that I'm using is the Rode Wireless Go. This is an awesome little wireless kit that allows you. You can use this. You can use this as a microphone, or you can do what I do, which is plug in a lapel mic, and then I just use this as a little wireless pack and clip it onto like my waistband or something like that, and that will allow me to have really crispy audio without needing to have like an overhead boom setup or anything like that. So that's an awesome run and gun setup, and the battery on it lasts a really, really long time. Moving on from there, we have the Pixel RGB video light. This is a super powerful video light. It's actually 12 watts, which is kind of at the higher end for a lot of pocket lights. On here, I also have this SmallRig Magic Arm. The SmallRig Magic Arm just allows you to articulate this thing at any angle that you're going to need it. We also have the Rode Video Micro. I've had this specific microphone now, I think, for going on 7 years. So this, I can highly recommend this microphone. It lasts a really, really long time. It has taken a ton of falls and drops and all sorts of stuff, but it just keeps on ticking. Moving on to a couple other accessories that we have for this. Right away, you guys might have noticed that we actually have the SmallRig cage on here. And the SmallRig cage gives you an extra hot shoe down here at the bottom, which is awesome. If you guys want, you could add your light on there. You could do a bunch of different stuff, add a bunch of different attachments right there. Usually what I do with my Rode Wireless Go is I put it right here on top. And then it allows me all my other cage spots for whatever other accessories I'm using that day. Moving on from the cage, we have an Arca Swiss base plate. This Arca Swiss base plate works with all my tripods, my gimbals, everything. All my stabilizers have Arca Swiss plates on them, and that just allows me to quickly put any one of my cameras or even like my rails, my 15 millimeter rail setup. I can put a camera on there and then slap that right on any of my Arca Swiss base plates. Also on the camera already, you guys will notice this front ring on here. This front ring is for the next accessory that we're going to talk about. It's an adapter for that accessory, but on here, we have a 52 millimeter filter adapter, and this is made by a company called JJC, and this is for the RX100 Mark VI, but it works perfectly on the Sony ZV-1. So this allows you to put any kind of filter that you guys are going to want onto this camera, whether it's an ND filter, a circular polarizer, or the accessory that I use the most with this camera, which is the wide-angle adapter. Now, the wide-angle adapter works awesome when you guys are running and gunning in 4K with that active stabilization turned on, because with the active stabilization turned on and 4K, with all those crop factors kind of added up, you're closer to around 30 millimeters with this lens, which this lens is typically around a 24 to 70. If you're shooting in 1080p with regular stabilization turned on or no stabilization turned on. So as soon as you turn on 4K, you're getting about a 0.1 crop factor, so you're going to be losing just a little bit on there, just a little bit of, on the wide end. And when you put on active stabilization, you get a little bit more of a crop, so now you're a little closer to 30 millimeters. With this wide angle adapter, you are now at 18 millimeters, even with even in 4K with active stabilization turned on, and with this wide angle adapter on in 1080p, with regular stabilization turned on, you're actually closer to 14 millimeters, which is extremely wide. So we're going to experiment with this wide angle adapter over the next 25 days, and I think it's going to be a really, really awesome tool to use, and I've already actually used it yesterday in yesterday's video, so let me know how that video looked, and yeah, that'll kind of determine if we're going to keep using it. I'll use it for a few more days, give it a solid try, and we'll see how it goes. But wide angle adapter is also a Sony wide angle adapter. It has awesome glass on here. I think the only couple other accessories I really want to talk about is I have a couple Peak Design straps that I leave these guys on here for. We have a regular camera strap and we have the wrist strap. We have the Zhiyun Crane M2 gimbal. This gimbal is an amazing, super tiny gimbal, and it works for your cell phone and for super small cameras like this, and it even works for a camera as big as the Sony a6400 with a lens like a 16 millimeter Sigma on there. So this gimbal will actually hold quite a bit of weight, and yeah, it's really, really nice to throw in a small bag. And that kind of brings us to our last accessory for the Sony ZV-1, or our last little thing that we use, which is the tripod. The tripod that we're using for this is a little out of the ordinary. We're actually just using a newer ball head with a light stand. So now with this light stand, we can actually go all the way down to, I would say, about 2.5 feet, all the way up to 8 feet in the air. So we can get some pretty interesting shots with this, and you can use it in some interesting ways to get some really interesting shots. So yeah, I would highly recommend you guys, instead of using a typical tripod with some of these really small cameras, or your cell phone, or, you know, a GoPro, or a lot of these other devices that people are now filming on, I would highly suggest getting yourself a $5 super cheap light stand, and then just toss any ball head on here, and you guys can use that for your camera, your phone, anything that you guys are going to need a steady shot for. Our last accessory that we kind of hold everything in, which we might talk about this more later, is my run and gun bag that I use for all my camera accessories and all my camera gear. This fits, you know, my camera can fit right in here. I have all sorts of stuff in here, all my cables that I need. I have a couple pens and stuff like that. I have some, you know, an SD card reader. Everything that I'm going to need throughout my day will fit in here from my laptop. And this is only a 10-inch backpack. It's super tiny, which is super nice, because then I don't end up overfilling it and getting a 40-pound backpack. So let's go ahead and set this camera up real quick, and I'm going to show you guys a couple quick shots of what this camera looks like, all set up and ready to go for the next 23 more days of Vlogmas. They say Nick, what you got up in that bag, yeah. I got racks in my sack, hurt my back, yeah. They say Nick, what you got up in that bag, yeah. I got racks in my sack, hurt my back, yeah. Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, and Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, and Blitzen. No, I can't forget about the So this is my setup for Vlogmas. I'm super curious to hear your guys' thoughts on this camera setup, and if this is something that you guys would use for your business, or for your guys' Instagram, or for your guys' family videos, or whatever your guys' needs are for a cheap, reliable, and extremely, you know, versatile camera. Anyways, I will see you guys in tomorrow's day 3 Vlogmas video. I hope you guys like today's content. Let me know in the description down below. Don't forget to subscribe, and peace out. Say Nick, what you got up in that bag, yeah. I got racks in my sack, hurt my back, yeah. They say Nick, what you got up in that bag.